Saudi Arabia does not have 1/3 of proven oil reserves. They would like us to believe that they have it, but they don't. As a matter of fact, today, what's changed is that Shia oil is more important than Sunni oil. You put Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and Bahrain together, they represent much more oil reserves than Saudi Arabia does. But at the end of the day, what is happening today is the following, is that here we have the United States Secretary of State going to the airport, boarding the Saudi foreign minister's plane to report back to him what is going on. And these are the same people today that are causing havoc in the entire Middle East, in Iraq, in Syria, and elsewhere. Who's financing the so-called Islamic State? It's the Saudis. It's the Qatari regime.
Well, it's not their governments.
No. I mean, this distinction that is totally, in my mind, theoretical, a distinction between the government of these countries and the civil society, as if there is a civil society in Qatar, as if there's a civil society in Saudi Arabia, makes me laugh. It is their government, and it's obvious. The Saudi Air Force refused to use their bombs to bombard the so-called Islamic State movement in these countries. And here we are today, siding with those that we are fighting as our potential allies against the Iranian nuclear issue, which is the only response to the fanatical Sunni movement in the Middle East.
Could the same not be said about, in terms of who's the radical? Could the same not be said?
Of course not.
About that we saw in that report that Imam and the faithful were chanting death to America.
No, well, you have people chanting death to a number of other countries in the entire area. That's not the point. What we're seeing every day is that you don't have Iranians chopping people's heads off. You don't have Shias crucifying Christians or burning down synagogues. This is today apparently a monopoly of Sunni Wahhabi-oriented people in the Middle East, in Iraq and elsewhere. And Iran, there is a need for Iran. It was mentioned by Professor Shadi. Why? Because if in this looming Cold War, who is going to bring energy security to the European Union? It is going to be Iran's gas reserves, which are by far the largest proven in the world.
Matthew Kroenig, you heard Didier Chaudet mention in the fight against ISIS, or Daesh as they're sometimes called, the U.S. and Iran have converging interests, just like they had converging interests in Afghanistan. Who makes better friends for the United States at this point in the region?
Yeah, well, the United States and Iran do have an overlapping interest in combating ISIS, and they've both been combating ISIS. But that's about where the commonalities end. The United States and Iran have very different views for what a post-ISIS Iraq and a post-ISIS Syria should look like. And the nuclear negotiations are still a major sticking point. And for the United States, the nuclear program poses more of a threat than ISIS. So ISIS is the more urgent threat, but the Iranian nuclear threat is the larger threat. And so the administration has made it very clear that these two issues will be kept separate and that the priority is still on the nuclear negotiations. So the United States would very much like to partner with Iran on some of these other issues, but first and foremost, we need to resolve the nuclear issue.